Sound like a damn guitar riff.
That's what I was about to ask. Is it a guitar riff to let us know that that's live?
Apparently.
Oh, that's my phone.
Oh, it was like, what was
I
that?
vibrate. I usually put it on vibrate.
You know, no, I respect that as a ringtone because I was gonna say that's a weird just opener.
It was on the
let
phone.
me drop this in here.
There we go. It's on vibrate now. Oh, actually, I'm sure my grandmother didn't listen to me when I told her to call my husband. So let me call her back real quick.
That's not the right one, but I'll still put it in there because I need it for later. There's that one. All right, cool. You know, you can tell I'm a ballsy motherfucker because I literally put the cover of
yep on the right there.
I literally took a cover off of League of Comic Geeks and was like, I'm gonna straight call out Stripe because they some bitches. Because they want to start this shit. It's gonna start being a conversation because like y'all ain't about to start putting this out here and not be a topic of conversation. Because this is censorship at its finest, my children. If y'all don't understand that, and it kind of speaks to something we've talked about previously, where it's like we've been saying if all y'all motherfuckers care about is like horny books, then go read the horny books over there in the space between and cheeky comics and whatnot. But then the motherfuckers still get mad and it's like, what do you want from us? We live. Okay, that button hit. Gotta repost it on Threads. Damn, that's funny as fuck. Okay, let me. But Tashi, that shit with you know who left the BCA, that shit had me hot all day. Like I had to put my phone down during the whatchamacallit during the con and was like, I'll address this later.
She's still on the phone with her grandma, I think.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, if she's doing that, I will be right back. I'm gonna grab my energy drink. Who's in the call? Like, is anyone in the chat yet?
Private chat.
Oh, there is a private chat. That's cool.
Yep. I like that. Now we can't get it.
Oh, Charlie's in the chat, my nigga.
Wow.
I need to pull up the Eisner nonsense. I gotta pull up the B article about the drama.
What's the nonsense I missed with that? I just saw the award getting not handed out, but
I need to put it in the chat. So basically, there was a writer who used AI in one page of an anthology, and then he announced it happened after the nominations came out. And also Valiant's cutting up and Ignition is coming up. And apparently, and I already have a meeting coming up with Ignition, so I'm definitely going to address that shit. I'm like, what's y'all stance on AI if y'all motherfuckers out here using it on social media?
Interesting.
So, but yeah, we ain't talked that much. How you been, dog?
There we go. I have been tired AF, not even from working. We're trying to figure out some camping over this next weekend. And then as I'm out, I apparently hit a rock with my front axle or something like that. And so now it's like 2 inches lower going into my side wheel. So I got to get that fixed up. And I'm also working 2 jobs the next 2 days. So figuring that all out. I have 12 birthdays and a half showing up this month. And oh my gosh, what else is going on in May? I'm just working way too much, and I'm way too busy in May. Did not expect it.
Oh, don't worry, because while I was on my way to Michigan yesterday, I got out to go to the bathroom and found that the front left wheel molding fender texture just flew off the side of my car. So I have to spend $50 that I wasn't planning on to buy a new one. So I'm
Hey,
very annoyed.
chill. At least I can't complain. Everybody's having car troubles right now. I've had friends. We're all getting up into our 30s, so we're having medical troubles with parents and stuff like that. So I'm having friends going through that. So it's been a weird 2 weeks.
It's been interesting. What was funny was on Twitter earlier, someone tried to call me out and be like, "Are you supporting Absolute Green Lantern?" I'm like, "Here's my pull list, bitch."
I got every issue still.
I'm actually missing one that I didn't realize we were missing. So now we have 1 through 11 and 13. We're like, wait, I thought we had 12.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
So can't read 13 until we get back to get.
I think it was like Brutal something that they have for Vertigo. I'm missing number 2, and I was so mad about that when I got 3, and I was like, wait, where'd 2 go?
That's what happened to 2? With my Roots of Madness. We had 1 and then 3. It was like, oh.
Ooh, B, I have something to show you that you'll be jealous of. Give me 1 second.
All right, let's see it.
He always got stuff for everybody to be jealous of.
Well, I haven't gotten any good purchases. Yeah, I know. It's that medical cough, I'll call it.
So I went to Motor City Con yesterday, and the GOAT himself, Nicholas Draper Ivy, was there.
I knew it.
And not only did I get 2 copies of the Dakota Incident, the first issue of Shadows of Dakota, and the Swerve Strickland variant of Batman Static Beyond signed, I got this.
Oh, I'd be putting that up on my wall immediately.
Oh, I'm getting a frame tomorrow for this bitch. Like,
I would want to, but I know there's no space for me to put anything else on the dang wall.
I mean, you got like a little bit of room back there. I see.
You don't see the posters that I have that are up.
That's where you got to like scrapbook it and have like poster over poster.
Oh, so many posters, and I don't have space for any more. And then every time we go to a convention, we're like, we're not buying posters, and then we buy posters.
It was crazy because I only had the 1, but what you also don't see in this like really tight ass case for it is there's 2 prints for that they had, because I actually snuck into a Scott Snyder and Stephanie Phillips premium panel with my press pass, and a part of
sneaking, you're allowed to be there.
Well, yeah, but I kind of like took the rewards from the premium thing anyway. Not only did I get to get 3 signatures from Scott, but I also got 2 Jacques prints of Daredevil and Absolute Batman.
I love that Daredevil one. That Daredevil one is
this was actually a cover that you could get in the Daredevil blind bags.
Mm-hmm. That is nice. I was hoping, I think that one was the one I was going to get from the blind bag, and I think I still got like cover A or something like that.
Oh, it's
I mean, still ain't complaining. At least I got something to read.
Right. No, like I had Stephanie just sign a cover A. I wasn't hunting crazy for Daredevil like that, because I told her like this is the first Daredevil run that I've read since Jeff Lemire's Daredevil, so like I'm not really pressed about it.
I'm loving it so far. Issue 2's been fun for me. And then what was it? 3's bringing in Spidey or something like that. So I'm interested how that's gonna go.
Getting an A cover in a blind bag would kill me, bro. The fact that Marvel did that still cracks me the fuck up. Like, y'all really put cover A's in a blind bag. Whose idea was that?
Honestly, it just shows how well. It just shows my luck with Marvel. I just know that I'm never gonna have good luck with Marvel. I got some really good pulls from DC, but Marvel's all been A covers every time I do a pull, except for the Endgame one. I got not the Scotty Young, but the little chibi looking ones. Who did those ones?
One day when we get this office back in order.
Here, I need to make one more tweet real quick because someone's trying to dog on me. I'm not dealing with it today.
You could just tell them.
The problem is we cannot live in a world where we have to ride solely for one title to get anywhere. This is not fair. If someone isn't interested in Absolute Green Lantern, they shouldn't have to buy it to get more black content. I'm buying it out of obligation and reading it digitally on DC Infinite later. But truthfully, my focus is not on a not retextured, but reimagining in a different universe.
Scotty Young. That was the cover that I ended up getting for Endgame.
There's I'm so tired of this whataboutism. What about Absolute Green Lantern? Like, do you realize if I had $1 for every time someone said, what about Absolute Green Lantern to me, I would be able to buy DC at this point? Like, it's actually insane the amount of people just refuse to like hear what the hell we're saying.
People just want to always say that here's your token, and then that's all you get. That's just how it feels at the end of the day for me.
Well, and like the one person was like, "Hey, well, like if we support Absolute Green Lantern, we can get more black content." It's like, stop that right now, because there's no reason we should have to support something in another universe to get something in mainline. That's moronic. There's no reason that should be there.
Is to where like I can't say that there was a boost in sales, but at least when Stephanie Williams went over to go write like Wonder Woman and everything like that, you know, there's a boost.
Oh no, there was a boost in sales. That's a thing.
There you go. There's a boost in sales. And then I can even say when it comes down to Morgan Hampton, when it comes to his Green Lantern run, I'm like, people are trying to go out and support that. But it's like, you can't be okay with just getting scraps, because the scraps are just what keep you down. You need to be able to ask for something to be able to thrive and not just survive.
See, I like that we've activated B, because now that he's a revolutionary, he's thinking more logical. I love it.
He's like, it was always in me.
It's always in there. I just don't get to talk about it in Utah. That's the sad part. They look at you side eye as soon as you come out with a fro. It's like,
you're one of those, aren't you?
No, we thought you were one of the good ones. We were wrong.
I know. It's what happened to you during 2020. It's so strange.
It's like, Braxton, we used to love you. What happened?
You've changed.
The awkward part is when I showed up with a truck at my grandparents and they were like, this is questionable now.
This is that white woman. That's that white woman rubbing off on you.
They were side-eyeing her for a good solid week, I can tell you that.
Man, that's crazy. What about black led Infinity? Bro, no, because like Pancho, you just brought that shit up. There was this dude in my TikTok comments that I finally had to block because I warned his ass I was gonna block this dude. There was this dude who kept trying to tell me that Miles Morales having a Marvel Unlimited Infinity comic counted as an ongoing series, and that I should be encouraging people to go support a digital only mini web comic to get more Miles Morales. I was ready to beat this motherfucker's ass because I thought what an ongoing is. And it's just so annoying, bro.
Everything when it comes down to facts gets thrown out the windows as soon as you feel like you're under attack.
It's so annoying. But thankfully, even though I've been broke for the past few weeks, I finally was able, like what I ended up doing to reward the person who won the Absolute Batman #1 was I got Snyder to sign that bitch. That way they get an extra little bonus for my fuck up.
I think that's a good reward right there. I can wait a little bit for a signed Snyder something.
Like this book now is like worth like $300-400 and I'm giving it away for free. Like that's the cost of being a black content creator.
Lord.
I've been holding on to my freaking Stan Lee signature poster for 15 years at this point. That thing ain't ever leaving.
Did they move where the fucking or the streamer mode is now on Discord? Because I'm annoyed. Did they move where streamer mode is on Discord now? Because I'm like, bitch, what the fuck?
I wouldn't know.
not Discord.
Oh, that's
Wheel, app settings, content, connections. I don't see app settings. Oh wait, I'll start
I'm my brother playing the piano right now.
Why is your brother playing the piano?
Because I have a piano in my house and he's been taking piano
Oh, you
lessons.
bougie. Okay.
No, it was my mother's piano. She grew up bougie. My
Okay.
brother's been taking piano lessons since he was 10. So
I can't blame him. Whenever there's a piano in the room, you gotta play it.
All right, let's go ahead and hop into this mess. I thought more people were going to be here because I announced we were going to talk about the Marvel Rivals nonsense, but apparently motherfuckers ain't here. We got 9 people, so this will work. What's going on, good people of the internet? It is time once again for Comics Unmasked, the podcast where a bunch of folks shoot the breeze and talk about comic books and such. We are live once again on Sundays. Y'all know on Sundays we record the show live for y'all, and then it goes out to y'all on Tuesdays to enjoy on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Audible, your mama's fridge. Anywhere you want to enjoy the podcast, we are there, except for SoundCloud, because SoundCloud is stupid. But don't forget that you can follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. We are going to be posting more content now that me and Tashi have finally got the TikTok and Instagram under control. Well, Instagram's still kind of being annoying, but we're figuring it out, and you'll be seeing more content from us, like recaps and clips from the show. So definitely get excited about that. And we're going to go ahead and jump into this nonsense. But before I do, to my left, we have Afro Baggins himself. How are you doing today, Mr. B. Rax?
I'm doing good. I got off work a little bit early. I'm catching up on my Scion stuff because we have a Kickstarter that just got promoted and he's been killing it out there.
Yeah, funded in 25 hours. Man, it just went nuts with that.
Right? I was so happy to see that. And so that means we're getting our Nicholas Draper Ivy cover, which jelly from this dude going out and seeing him at Comic-Con when I have to be working 12 jobs, it feels like. I'm going to be taking some time off trying to get everybody to come to Salt Lake.
Man, you can request people as long as your con invites people that they'll come through. But we were getting the Draper, we were getting the cover, the variant cover regardless. So I immediately got that bundle because I was like, I want that shit.
No, that's fair. I think my con probably blocked me at this point because I've been requesting it every single day for a couple of creators, but we'll see. I might have to make some new emails for them.
All right, and then we have the hardest working woman in comics herself, Tashi. How you doing?
I am here. I am tired. It's been a long week.
I feel that.
But
My ass
done, so
hey, there you go. I'm about to say my ass just got back from Motor City Comic Con yesterday. That was insane. We have something brewing that is going to be coming out in the net. Like we're gonna have 2 episodes this week because we're gonna have the interview with Mark and Shay, the creative team behind Scion, and they're talking about their Kickstarter tomorrow on Tuesday as well. But next week, if everything pans out, we will be sitting down with Scott Snyder. And I didn't tell B about that.
You did not.
But we arranged that, and
I'm just telling me anything with where I'm working.
It's my reminder that I won't be here next week because
this is
Sunday,
this tomorrow.
This weekend is MomoCon.
Oh, that's right, MomoCon. Yeah, so I'll have to find a guest star for next week. But this is being recorded tomorrow, so that'll be a bonus episode for next week for y'all. But we are going to be having the opportunity to sit down with Scott Snyder and talk about DC So White and what's going on with the lack of diversity. So get ready for that. Yeah, that's gonna be very interesting. But we're gonna go ahead and hop into this. The first thing on the docket, because oh boy, the news kind of flew in while we took a week off because of we took off for Mother's Day and let people enjoy time with their families and such, but there wasn't a whole lot of news. But we're going to go ahead and dive into a discussion about the Eisners, the comic book industry equivalent of the Oscars. We're going to go ahead and jump into this and talk about it for y'all because the nominations are out. You are now able to view them on the Comic-Con website for you to check out and know about. So we're going to go ahead and hop into this for y'all because, ooh boy, it is looking good. So For best short story, we have Blood Harvest. We have The Curse Room. Football is Not War. Red Snapper and Trapped. Thought that was really dope. The best one shot and slash single issue category, we had Absolute Martian Manhunter #1, Absolute Batman Annual #1, Assorted Crisis Events #4. Dennis Camp's in here twice. That's crazy. Coin Op number 10. Ice Cream Man #43. See, that's why I've been trying to tell y'all Ice Cream Man is the shit. Y'all don't listen to me. But and then Something's Killing the Children. A Monster Hunter Walks into a Bar #1. So this is looking good. I think this is gonna be a real interesting fight because as much as I would love to see Ice Cream Man win, I think Absolute Batman Annual might take this, and I want y'all's thoughts on that because this might be something crazy.
Rigged.
The white supremacist book might actually get somewhere the fight for once, like that man tore them motherfuckers up. So that might be something that is discussed. B, do you have any thoughts on this so far?
I'm biased towards Manhunter over here because I just love the art that's in there. I just love the whole concept of the comic book. This last one, you had the whole like you can cut a page out and everything, and I was just like, I love this. This is stuff I miss from the old comic books and being able to see who actually like reads their comics and plays with their comics and stuff like that. But Absolute Batman's still in my box, and it's still like right there in the front with like one of my favorites, and so it's like, it's hard.
Okay.
That's a hard one.
All right. For best continuing series, we have Absolute Batman, Absolute Wonder Woman, Department of Truth, FML by Kelly Sue DeConnick and David Lopez over at Dark Horse, Power Fantasy, and Storm from last year made the list while it was still an ongoing. Shout out to Merwewa. That's an awesome achievement to get. As much as I want Storm to win, I feel like the bat's gonna come through, and it's gonna be really annoying when the bat wins. I'm gonna be sitting there like,
woman on this one.
This was a hard one because there's like 3 that I'm just like, and none of them are bad.
I don't want Batman to win this. I would love if FML won because I've been singing the praises of Kelly Sue DeConnick for a long time. So I would love for FML to pull up and win that. But if there's any underdog that I think could beat Absolute Batman, it would either be Absolute Wonder Woman or Power Fantasy because Power Fantasy has been swinging for a hot minute.
I'm so on. Please give me some Power Fantasy.
Yes. We might need to do a highlight episode for that when you get back from MomoCon because Power Fantasy needs to be highlighted. Actually, no, the episode when you get back from MomoCon is going to be us fully reviewing Exquisite Corpses because by then the final issue will have come out. So when you get back from MomoCon, that's what we're gonna be doing. Then we have for best limited series, we have Absolute Martian Manhunter, Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring, Bronze Faces, Crownsville, and Everything Dead and Dying. Let's go. And Out of Alcatraz. Now, I want Crownsville or Everything Dead and Dying to win, but I feel like it's gonna be a pretty divisive voting process here because this one's gonna be tough. I feel like I would love for Bronze Faces to also win because I haven't read that, but I've heard a lot of good reviews from it from the guys who wrote a different book at Boom. I forget the name of it, but I remember loving that book. So it definitely is going to be interesting to see what happens there.
I definitely think it's going to be Crownsville or Beneath the Trees because my girlfriend fell in love with Beneath the Trees, and I've seen more people be coming in for that one in my shop. So I really think that one might steal it.
I definitely think it needs to be one of those two because those were my exact 2 picks. I haven't even actually finished Beneath the Trees yet, but like
it's just that good. Okay. For best new series, we have Assorted Crisis Events. We have Matt Fraction's Batman. We have Black Cat by G. Willow Wilson, which I didn't expect that. We have Exquisite Corpses, and then we have Ghost Pepper, and then the big one, we have Temporal by Stephanie Williams getting in the door. Stephanie Williams is officially an Eisner-nominated writer. That is phenomenal. And we ain't even done with her yet. That's the best.
Not at all.
So I would love if Temporal came in here and swung this, but you put her up against Exquisite Corpses and Batman. That's not a fair fight. That's not a fair fight at all.
You know, I think given not even her credits, bump credits don't mean anything as far as how good a writer you are half the time. I think given Stephanie's prowess, it's not an unfair fight, except for the fact that we know they can be biased.
Yes, that's what I mean. Like, it's going to be the white fans just coming in and being like, "It's Batman," or it's gonna be like the new indie darling fans who are like, "But it's Exquisite Corpses." So it's
Right.
like, I would love if Temporal won. I would be happy as
She's a
hell.
in every category.
Honestly, I think Temporal deserves to win. This is a new writer coming onto the scene, just giving their chops out. I mean, like, everything that anybody puts out onto the internet about Stephanie Williams is positive. And so I think in that case, it just shows on how powerful new writers being in any way that they come into DC, any way that they come into Marvel. Even when it came down to Street Sharks, I picked that up and that was so freaking fun. Like, she is so diverse in her writing that she just deserves to win. That's just hands down.
I think there's like 2 series by Stephanie that I don't have. Not for lack of being like, I need to get them.
Okay. For best publication for early readers, there was All the Hulk Feels, which I didn't know that was a thing. The Faraway Forest, The Fire-Breathing Duckling, Nightlight, and Steve, A Rare Egg by Kelly Collier. I don't really do early reading, so I don't really know anything about this. Tasha, do you know any insight on this?
I think I've heard of The Fire-Breathing Duckling. Because since my kids read comics, I do try to get them some more early readers comics and kids comics and stuff, but
okay. Then I guess we'll just slide past that department a little bit because like we ain't really that knowledgeable about that. We'll bump past best humor publication and then best anthology, which we will be circling back to this in a minute. So be paying attention to this. But Come Out and Play, The Queer Sports Project, DC Pride 2025. Noir is the New Black Season 2 from Fair Square Press, which that is a big achievement for a lot of our friends over at Fair Square Graphics. They definitely put in work with that. I want to do a highlight episode about that here soon, so definitely look out for that. Stardust, the Super Wizard Anthology, edited by Van Jensen, which we will be talking about that in a minute. And then 2000 AD 2026 Annual featuring Judge Dredd, edited by Oliver Pickles. I would love for Noir There's the New Black to win.
Would love that.
We'll see what happens. I think like season 2 was phenomenal. I remember it was recommended to me by Joe Illidge and I loved it. So we'll see what happens to that. B, you need to read that. It's really good. DC Pride was decent though, but like I wasn't as good as the 2024 or 2023s. So I don't think it should win an Eisner, but
I missed 2025's, not gonna lie. So I don't know.
That's valid. Best beauty based work. Interesting. Best graphic memoir. The Emirata Shaping the Exquisite Nature of Grief. Interesting. My Life in 24 Frames Per Second.
Yeah, that's actually a really good one.
Oh, okay. It Rhymes with Takei, which was the George Takei memoir about his life. It like even talks about him starting out in a prison camp during World War II. Precious Rubbish by Kayla E. from Fantagraphics, Raised by Ghosts by Brianna Lowensom from Fantagraphics, and then Taking to My Father's Ghost, an almost true story. Interesting. Okay. Mr. I'll pass here a little bit because this ain't really our department.
Is going cross-eyed.
Yeah. We're just scrolling down here a little bit because the next big category that we have to touch on is do best writer.
I was gonna say webcomics though.
Oh, let's go webcomic. Okay, let me go back. The Accidental Undergrad by Christian Garogs, Keeping Time by Cody Akamoto, The Legend of Parvatera by Raul Arnaiz, Sable, A Ghost Story by Ethan M. Aldridge, Superfish by Pelgo, Tyranno Mega, The Ghosts of War by PJ Holden, and Tiger by Petra Erica Nordland. I'm out of my depth here.
I think I know like 2 of those, but I thought there was somebody I thought was nominated, but it might have been a different
one. The Legends of Bavaria. I see my girlfriend reading that in the morning before I be getting ready for work. So that's all I know.
Okay. And then best digital comic was Dead Ass by Hakai. In The Real Dark Knight by Jimmy Gowling. The Lycan, Overwatch 2 Against the Tide, Practical Defense Against Piracy. Ooh, I might need to read that. The World of Lublu by Charbak Dipta. Obviously, I don't have any information on that. Now, for Best Writer, we have Dennis Camp for Absolute Martian Manhunter, Sort of Crisis Events, and the Ultimates. Scott Snyder for Absolute Batman, Batman and Deadpool, by a Thread Book 2, which was a Comixology original, and You Won't Feel a Thing, which was a distillery book over at like with Neon Ichiban, and it was a big magazine edition as well. Mariko Tamaki for This Place Kills Me. Kelly Thompson for Absolute Wonder Woman, Birds of Prey, and Jeff the Landshark. James Tinian for A Lot of Shit. And then the big one, Stephanie Williams for Street Sharks, Roots of Madness, and Ignition, Temporal. So she is now a two-time Eisner nominated writer. Holy
I know
shit.
it's the first Black woman.
The first Black woman and the last Black person since Dwayne McDuffie.
Right. So like,
that's crazy. That is crazy.
Mm-hmm. And it's crazy too, because I was talking to somebody and they were like, no, there's been other Black people who have been nominated. I'm like, yeah, David F. Walker and Chuck Brown, who got it for Bitterroot, but like not for Best Writer. So like, yeah,
writer. Right.
Yeah, so this is a big achievement. So she definitely, and like again, they definitely have like they put her up with some big dogs, but she a big dog and she gonna put that work in. Best writer and artist, we had Jamal Campbell for Zatanna, we had Junie Ba for The Boy Wonder, Jesse Lonergan for Jerome, Chang Shen for Yan, Lene Sterte for A Garden of Spheres, and Kazumi Yamashita for Land. Best penciler and inker, we had Elsa Charitier for the City Beneath Her Feet, Sean Phillips for Giant Sized Criminal #1, Javier Rodriguez for Absolute Martian Manhunter, Chris Samney for Batman and Robin Year 1, Hayden Sherman for Absolute Wonder Woman and Batman Dark Patterns, and Eric Zawoski for Assorted Crisis Events. I'm going to be rooting for Hayden Sherman because that man is a beast. He wrote one of my favorite comics. Well, he drew one of my favorite comics of all time, Wasted Space. So I want Hayden Sherman to win, but I don't know what y'all want to do with that.
I'm conflicted because I'm not gonna lie. I very much enjoyed how Absolute Martian Manhunter was done.
Okay.
I'm the same. I'm feeling conflicted.
Okay. Best painter / multimedia artist, there was Teddy Christensen for Black Hammer Spiral City, Kathy McCallson for Shadows of the Sea, Q Slices of Life, a comic montage, Martin Simmons for Department of Truth. We love Martin Simmons. Mika Song for Night Shift, an epic tale of friendship with a side of deliciousness. And then Linnea Starte for Garden Spheres. I'm probably going to root for Teddy Christensen because Black Hammer Spiral City is phenomenal, but we will see what happens there. Best cover artist, we got Junie Ba, Nick Dragata, Francesco Francavilla, Mateus Manhini, Javier Rodriguez again, and then Hayden Sherman again. I would love to see Nick Dragata get credit for his work because Nick Dragata has been killing it with Absolute Batman, so I wouldn't be upset by him getting some praise for that. I don't know if y'all have any thought on that. Like Javier Rodriguez,
I picked up one of his foil variants for the second printing that was really nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
For best coloring, we had Jordi Belair for Absolute Wonder Woman, Nina Kupenda Galliard for Chickenpox, Jesse Lonergan again for Jerome, Matthew Lopez for Batman and Robin Year 1, Javier Rodriguez again, and then Jose Villarrubia for This Ink Runs Cold. Interesting. And then for best lettering, we had Janice Chang for Acro and the Cat, All Once Upon a Time, and a bunch of other great titles. Clayton Cowles for Absolute Batman, Hassan Otsmane for a bunch of stuff. Holy crap. and then Nate Pecos for again a bunch of stuff. We also worked on Black Hammer Spiral City, and then Ben Wiki for More Weight, a Salem story. So congratulations to everybody who's nominated. This is a pretty competitive list. I heard there was some people who were salty that Jonathan Hickman was not nominated. There was some people, they were frustrated and felt like there was people who got shafted. The thing that people have to remember is that there are over 2,000 books that are nominated every year for the Eisners. If something slips through the cracks, or something just wasn't got to, or something wasn't submitted in some cases because like Marvel and DC or different publishers could have dropped the ball and not submitted something, like something just, it probably didn't even get in front of the judges, because I think there's like 5 judges. So it's like, maybe think about that before you try to judge people. What were you gonna say, Tashi?
Yeah, it's not a lot.
Yeah, so
5 judges too, having to go through that much work. I would be done at the end of the term of looking through things. I'd be like, comic books are done for the while. I can't read anymore.
I will say, when it comes to that portion, the voting and stuff, they get a little bit of help for like the first little bit, but yeah, the final decision comes down to those little bit of people.
All right. And now for a little bit of controversy when it comes to the Eisners, real quick. Let me pull this back up here, because there was something that happened in regards to all this, because there's been a few different cases of AI usage in the comic community this past week. Let's start with the first one that had me ready to make a whole roast video again, because Valiant Entertainment, oh dear. For those who don't know, Valiant is a comic book company that has been falling on their face over and over and over again for decades, because we had them with Jim Shooter founding it back in the day, and then the people who had a vested interest in the company didn't like how Shooter was running things. They wanted more profit, so they kicked him out of the company, and then Acclaim Entertainment acquired it, made a bunch of video game properties out of it. Like there was that old Exo Manowar Iron Man video game. There was the Shadow Man video game that some people know from the PS1. Then Acclaim folded, so did Valiant. And then like about 12 years go by, and we see a bunch of investors and some college people buy the rights to Valiant, and they relaunched it in 2012, to where you actually saw that there was going to be a sort of a competition to rise up against Marvel and DC, because Valiant was putting out a lot of good material. But then right as they were prepping to do this really cool thing with Bat in the Sun, where they were going to have like a YouTube series about all their characters, DMG Entertainment came in and bought like a controlling stake of Valiant, and tried to say they were going to turn it into the next MCU, which is how we got Vin Diesel as Bloodshot. So from there, we saw a few different relaunches. They after the pandemic, they no longer are publishing their own books. They are licensing the publishing to Alien Books, and they're the ones putting out books like Shadow Man and Exo Manowar and Bloodshot. But as they were going to roll out that, there was a controversy where the artist of Bloodshot, I think it was the writer of the artist, made a allegory with vampires, where it was the writer. Okay, thank you. It was the writer made an allegory with the vampires in the book and compared them to trans people, and said they were abominations that needed to be smited, I believe they said in the book. And that was a big controversy, and they had to be kicked off the book. And now we're in a situation where Valiant is now teasing the release of a new app called like the website is called like valiantapp.com or something like that. And they were teasing this on social media with AI generated images of some of their characters, because you have this one that, if you really thought about it, it probably looks like Eternal Warrior from Valiant, but it just kind of looks like a generic knight. It doesn't have any like detail whatsoever. I
feel like I saw that shot off of like Dark Souls or something like that. Like that's a Dark Souls cover right there.
Then
like this was Ant-Man.
Well, no, this is Exo Manowar. And this is probably, like, if you want my honest, humble opinion, this is probably the one AI generated image that gets something right, if anything, when it comes to Valiant's properties. Then you have what looks to be Blade pulling up on a military base in the desert, and then you have random Halo Marines pulling up on a random like machine thing.
I love that
And-
AI always goes to Halo for space. That's been my favorite thing. If you notice, like it's either generic spacesuits or Halo. That's what you get with AI.
Oh,
It's so frustrating. And what's really weird is when criticized about this, they haven't spoken on it. They haven't done anything about it. But then the next day, they released a follow-up image. And they say, sign up for what's coming next. Hint, it's not a comic book. And this one does a little bit better with the AI generation because you have Shadow Man, you have Exo Manowar, you looks to be Eternal Warrior and Ninjak, and then I forget her name. I forget she's a character at Valiant. But I'm still sitting here like, what are you doing? Like, this is like I have watched in real time of the past 25 years of watching Valiant just be the dumbest company over and over and over again because they keep having corporate interference mess with them thinking they know better. And now they've become this. And it's just like, what are you doing? I don't understand. How y'all feeling?
I'm still stunned by the Blade one. Like I'm still stuck on that one because like how does that pass editing? It's red. The next one you just showed me was purple. How could you guys just not color contrast, at least do something?
Or at least think about the fact that maybe Marvel might think it's Blade and you might get in trouble. At the very least, consider trying to cover your butt.
It's so sad to see. And so Valiant's in the shitter once again. Makes me sad. The other AI piece of information that slid out of nowhere was that like one of the anthologies that we announced, which was like from the Eisner Awards, which I don't know how to go backwards here. This is a problem. Let me go back. What was it called? Stardust, the Super Wizard Anthology. Apparently, the writer Michael Tedasco put on LinkedIn that my AI persona is being published in a new comic book compilation and starring in the 1940s public domain superhero Stardust the Super Wizard. I trained an AI model on the original Fletcher Hanks artwork and story structure, and the AI generated the published tale. Now, this is one page out of the entire 139 pages of the anthology. So this dude took advantage of the fact that the Eisners don't really have a rule against AI. Like it wasn't something they've like implemented yet because the Eisners hadn't caught up to like the 21st century yet and the current day and time. So this writer just casually slid this in. Nobody noticed, and it has now set the precedent that an AI piece of work has been nominated for an Eisner. And everyone's looking at the Eisners like, what are you doing? Someone started a petition to ban AI from the Eisners. A source told me that the Eisners are making a statement tomorrow, which will be Monday, February 18th. But until then, we have no information about how they're going to be handling this. Because on one hand, you could say if they remove the nomination, the writer / publisher or the editors could sue and be like, this is unfair, there is no rule against it. But then you have the backlash from everybody else who's saying you let AI be involved in a comic book award ceremony. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they're going to decide. If it were me, I'd be like, kick that shit to the curb, dog. I don't give a fuck what you say.
Honestly, I think they have more standing to kick it.
Tasha, what you thinking?
I would kick it. On the empathetic side, I understand that as an organization, they have to be careful. So it could also be one of those things where it's like, oh, it can stay. It isn't going to win, but it can stay. And then there will be an amendment to the rules next year that says that you cannot submit AI in any shape or form. Like that is the easiest out.
I can see them doing that because that sets the precedent of like, yeah, you can enjoy the fact that you were nominated, but it's never going to happen again.
Right.
Like you can ride that little wave of happiness you want to have, but other than that, you ain't gonna get nowhere.
Right. That
So
would be their easiest out to cover their behinds on all sides to make sure they don't get continued scrutiny from the community, but also to make sure they don't maybe get sued at the
yeah. So we will see what happens, but once again, congratulations to everybody who has been nominated. The last piece of AI news that definitely was we'll talk about real quick is that for some reason, Ignition Press took it upon themselves to post something on social media in collaboration with somebody. My screen's frozen. Let me 1 second here.
It is
But they were putting out there's this thing called Airwalker, a graphic novel written by the late Stan Lee with beauty co-creator Jeremy Hahn to be published by Ignition Press later this year. Nickel Comics is an online comic book retailer, and they promote free Ashcan comics. And they use this AI image of Stan Lee with the owner of the website. And I'm sitting here just like, why? Why? Was this necessary? Did you need this? Was this something that you needed to have? Could you not pay somebody to do a mock-up of Stan Lee?
But you not
Like
use
what?
Photoshop?
Right, use Photoshop, something, work with JC and make something in honor of Stan Lee. If you're getting the rights to this project, why not? I don't understand. I plan on talking with Ignition Press when I interview them soon about this, because this is concerning. This is the idea that they're going to keep doing stuff like this. It sets a dangerous precedent. So hopefully they'll be willing to speak on it. But we will see what happens in regards to that as time goes on. But I'm just how do I say this? I find it very concerning that it seemed like a lot of the indie publishers weren't wanting to involve themselves with AI. It felt like they weren't going to do things of that nature, but for some reason, we're slowly seeing the trickle out of things of that nature. We're seeing it on TikTok. Different indie comic book creators are trying to implement AI. And I really want to have a sit down conversation with some of these guys, because why do you think people want generative AI in comic books? Why do they think anybody is going to want to participate in this? Because in reality, they don't. Every fan has said, no, we don't want your generative AI in our comic books. We don't want generative AI in our fandoms. But for some reason, certain individuals want to interlope into the fandoms and make those things happen. And I'm just why? Help me understand this, guys, because I don't get it.
Honestly, the only way I can see it is that every corporation's moving to some kind of AI model for their advertisements. I even get some of the most annoying ones for web comic stuff, when it's just oh, I'm gonna read a portion of the comic out in the weird AI voice, and it's I'm not really down with any of this, I get it for accessibility reasons, but at that point we have chips on our phone that can read better than what these AIs are even reading. So it concerns me a lot, and I think it's just corporations trying to save that nickel and dime every corner that they can, and be oh, just throw it into an AI prompt and it should generate some kind of video for you to be able to advertise. And I hate to say it, it looks like this stuff, which doesn't get me excited to actually go pick up the stuff. When I see AI generated things, I just kind of go, next. I don't really need to know about it, which is sad, because this is something Stan Lee related. It would be something really interesting for the world to actually know, but because you guys are advertising it like this, you're turning away 75-80% of the community at that point, probably more.
Yeah, it's how everybody's saying now. It's hey, if your flyer for your event is AI, I'm not coming. It's the exact same thought process right there. It is dangerous, and it's lazy. And at the end of the day, it's not going to save them as much money as they think, because there's one company right now. It's not even a creative company, and they're already complaining because they're spending more money now that they don't have any humans on the AI and the upkeep than they were ever spending before. And I said a long time ago this was going to happen.
So it'll be interesting to see how this develops. I'm gonna try to talk to Ignition about this, because it's very concerning that they're just okay with this. But it's time to divulge into nonsense, children. Are y'all ready for censorship? Because I think
Yay!
we're ready for
I
censorship,
love
kids.
censorship.
So it was revealed earlier this week in what we've seen this happen a few different times with places like Steam or different other video game platforms as well. Stripe, the payment processor platform for Kickstarter, is coming in after apparently there has been conversations and complaints from like different groups. They're saying that they don't like the idea that Kickstarter has adult content on it, even if it is censored, even if it is things that isn't shown on their website, that people can purchase the adult content, that people that this is a problem. And now Stripe is saying that Kickstarter has to amend their rules to not allow any of this, where it will say any art containing implied nudity, where the subject is wearing lingerie, fetish wear, or clothing that is see-through or very tight and shows human genitalia, the anus or nipple areola of female breasts, will cause a project to not be allowed to be funded on the platform. Furthermore, any attempt to blur, censor, or otherwise edit the image to cover is also a violation of the new rule set. And how do I say this? This feels very much like the continuation of the narrative. I'm gonna be real blunt with this, y'all. Y'all ready for this? I'm gonna keep it a whole omnibus. This is what we mean when we say comic books have always been political. This is what we mean when you have a whole credit card processor being pressured by who knows who. Because when it came to video games a while back, where mom groups, Christian mom groups, were going to MasterCard and Visa to pressure Steam and a couple other websites to ban adult content. This is kind of the same idea, where they're saying even if it's covered, even if it's implied, you can't even hit to it on your website. And you even have and this is funny enough because I've said this previously, all the people who get mad at like Captain Marvel for being too masculine, or like other women not being too sexy in comic books, you have the publisher of Space Between Entertainment, which if you scroll to the bottom of every week of League of Comic Geeks, you can see all the dirty comic books and whatnot that you could purchase at your local comic book shop from Space Between Entertainment. But y'all don't want to do that. Y'all don't actually want real Gooter content. But the literal publisher of the Gooter comic books, who makes a lot of Kickstarters on this platform, is saying many of the largest IPs in the world outside of comics, Game of Thrones, Euphoria, The Boys, and certainly any of the romance novels dominated by traditional publishing sales, the list goes on, would be considered NSFW if presented on the platform as a comic. So this is definitely a worrisome time that this isn't exactly new to either comic creators or anyone specifically in the actual adult industry, as banks and payment processors and credit card companies will deem illegal business a high risk at a glance without a deep understanding of what actually is being sold, which is stories, fiction. And that's the idea, is that this is basically saying that if you want anything like adult content, credit card companies don't want to touch you. And that's sad. It's saying that you can't have a right to purchase what you want. And that means even say Marvel and DC have done swimsuit variants as of late, or different things like that. That can't be featured on Kickstarter or different things like that. And it's like, how far is this going to go before it's a problem? And like, Tasha, you're well equipped in this, because not only like y'all have made Kickstarters, y'all know this very well, and like this definitely affects y'all in a major way.
Yeah. I said on Threads after a few hours of pondering, I said, what's going to happen is, even though this is supposed to target NSFW books, this is going to disproportionately affect anything that shows Black bodies, especially Black women bodies, of which most of the books I write feature Black women, and of all shapes and sizes. And next thing you know, your Kickstarter is getting taken down because your Black woman's character is a little busty, as Black women tend to be. But that's NSFW content now.
Or like they can start swinging at LGBT characters and say, "Oh, the fact that you're queer alone means NSFW content."
Right.
So
Because
like,
we think that's going to mean you're going to do something sexual with them. They could just be living their lives. So more of my characters are queer than people realize. One is asexual, so there's nothing romantic happening in the book because it's about other stuff. Another is bi, but there's no relationship stuff in there yet. Like,
right.
So this is going to most definitely it's going to affect Black bodies, it's going to affect queer, and it's definitely going to affect queer Black women stories, of which I read plenty. Most of them I don't get mine off Kickstarter, but I know a lot of people who do.
B, what are your thoughts on this?
My main issue is I feel like this is like pushing that stuff into a black market sense. And when you then end up doing that, you end up getting a lot worse things than stuff that can be regulated and seen on, you know, platforms such as this. So that way, like, I'm not the one for the Gooner content. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy my busty women, but like, I'm not going to try to go out and get it in a comic book. But if there's somebody out there who wants to get it, they should be able to get it there instead of having to go across some like horrid website to find what they're looking for. And then like 12 other things are put in front of their face. And now congratulations, you've created a worse pervert, you know, like, just because you want to restrict something and you don't like something doesn't mean you have the right to restrict that. Just don't participate in that yourself. You know, like that's one thing that I feel like everybody can live by, because I thought that was the American standard at some point, but I guess not.
Yeah. It's very dangerous because it's like, how long until this just starts being blatant censorship of freedom of speech, where it's like these people are not allowed, because they're skating a line where it's like, no, you can make that, just not on this platform. And it's like, well, what platform can we do that? Because what if someone makes a specific Kickstarter equivalent for specifically adult content, but then Stripe or whoever doesn't want to associate with them, and then how are they gonna like be able to make transactions? Cash App, like there should be no reason why these companies are being discriminated against just because they want to make transactions that are legal. So it's a very concerning situation, and like as weird as it sounds, I might even reach out to Pat Sham, because like this is setting a dangerous precedent, because like I ain't messing with this shit, but this does set like especially when it comes to queer content, when it comes to Black content, like it definitely is going to have ramifications that these companies aren't thinking about. Because like I don't know about y'all, but like Vault Comics put out a really good queer book by Steve Orlando a few years ago, and it's like that is like chubby gay men going through time and space, and it's like they're pretty blatant about it. Or Money Shot from Vault Comics, where they're blatantly sexual in their content. So it's like, what if they wanted to launch a Money Shot hardcover omnibus? They can't now. So it's like, this is making it to where it has ramifications through the whole industry just because y'all think you're funny.
Now, I will say I did bring the question because Ty and I talked about this extensively the other day. And I was like, so yes, this is a thing that's happening. But what happens if, say, a Marvel or a DC or an Image does want to do that? Are they going to become the exception to the rule because they have money?
Interesting. That could be a very interesting idea, because then it becomes like, what if Kickstarter is willing to like create a fee-based tier for that? Like that definitely is, because what I don't really understand is, if it's all money, why aren't you taking the money? That's what I have a problem understanding with Stripe, where it's like, if all the money's money, why you got beef with the money?
Control, censorship. Think about Florida right now. If you live in Florida, unfortunately for you, you can't access pornography.
You gotta have a VPN, and then they're trying to ban VPNs. Like they did that shit here in Ohio, where it's like you have to like submit your like ID, or be able to say when you were like the equivalent or when you were born in a system. And more people are trying to use VPNs, but now different lawmakers are trying to say that VPNs are being used by children with no factual evidence to support that. So this has so many ramifications when it comes to censorship, just because old white men want to control things, even though like surprise, the old white men are the ones being the biggest perverts. So it's real interesting when you really think about it.
Gosh,
So,
I love living in Utah because all of that's going on here too.
I just
yeah,
say
Utah's got it real rough.
Atlanta is a weird mix of things.
Mm. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on things and see what happens. But I wanted to make sure we talked about this because this definitely is going to have ramifications through the entire industry. Yay, ramifications. All right. So let me pull up something that way we can talk about this because oh boy, I think I'll just pull up Twitter Marvel Rivals because oh boy. Let's talk about anti-blackness, people, because this is what half of social media has been waiting for me to talk about. Because I have been hot, I have been frustrated, and it's time to actually talk about it. Okay, so we saw that the announcement for Marvel Rivals season 8 had came out. They showed like everyone for weeks and weeks and weeks. They knew ever since the season 6 trailer came out when they saw Devil Dinosaur in the background that Devil Dinosaur was going to be coming at some point. But everyone kept asking the question, where was Lunella? Where was Moon Girl? Where are we going to see Lunella Lafayette in the game? And we were going to see her be out there in the open. And as time went on, we started to like see more teasers. We started to see Devil Dinosaur by himself as a plush, but then someone saw that he had a collar on as the plush and tried to gaslight people like myself and other creators to say, "Oh, well, if he has his collar, that means Moon Girl's coming, right? So that's fine, right?" And that became a very contentious topic. So they finally put out the trailer for season 8 only to find that yes, Moon Girl is featured in the trailer, but she is not actually going to be a part of Devil Dinosaur's kit. That Devil Dinosaur is going to be playable by himself, but Moon Girl will have voice lines that are heard while you're playing as Devil Dinosaur. Because apparently she is in prison along with Cyclops, and she's been captured by Alchemex, but also there has been talk and concern about Moon Girl being a child and the ramifications of that when it comes to the landscape of Marvel Rivals. And Miller Ross, who is a trusted journalist who has insider information when it comes to Marvel Rivals, made a very large statement last week. I believe it was Thursday or Friday if my computer will load. I don't know why it keeps freezing like this. But he made a very large statement in regards to this topic that I found very intriguing and I wanted to go over because it it reeks of the continuation of anti-blackness with Marvel Rivals that we have seen over the past year since it was creation. And it's like they try to slide by it being like, oh, well, we got back old girl who Diamond White who voiced her on the TV show. Isn't that cool, guys? But then you look at this giant thing that Miller posted that day. Let me see if I can pull this up. I might just go to my repost because he put out this giant thing the day like the trailer came out, and I very much had everyone's attention because I said I was going to talk about this today because oh boy, like the way he phrased this, Jesus Christ, I need to quit talking too much on Twitter, especially when I need to talk about something important, but it raises a lot of questions right here. Okay, cool. So Jesus Christ. Um, he basically says out loud that the concern, like he, this is a journalist who has trusted information from NetEase. This is not NetEase themselves saying this, mind you, but he says not only that they hated the like apparently huge there was huge branding concern and also ratings boards concerns over Punisher shooting a 10-year-old girl that's not a road Marvel Games has any interest in going down. And while NetEase does love Moon Girl, and they are including her in a mini game, and they were throwing around her name a lot when it comes to the conversation. They wanted to include her to a certain extent. Apparently, there was concern that Inhumans are not really popular in the Marvel universe anymore, so having her be featured was not something that really matters when it comes to the MCU. And while they had previously used her with Devil Dinosaur in Marvel Mystic Mayhem, that was more focused on cartoon violence rather than Marvel Rivals not being under that. This is something that he believes. This is not definitive, mind you. He then talked about there was 3 different options where it was not including her at all, aging her up similar to how they did Penny Parker, or like or just making a brand new character entirely. And like the way Miller phrases it, he thinks that this was the best solution because he says people say they aged up Penny Parker, but he's like, as far as he can understand, that was mostly a symptom of early development experimentation. It still didn't result in her being a direct combatant because she's in the mech. And while she is featured in different things, she's not actually seen in gameplay. Lunella had just turned 10 in the comic books. She is a small child. That's a space that a character occupies. So that was a concern for them. And like that's pretty much like the majority of what he says is that apparently NetEase had a lot of concerns when it comes to her. And while like Marvel Rivals is a kingmaker when it comes to putting people in the spotlight, this was the best solution to potentially get her more of a fan base. Let me say this. Miller, if you're watching this, which I don't know if you even care, this was poorly executed when it comes to this giant thing you posted. Because this, even though you tried to say that like you don't want to speak for Black voices in like the latter half of this post, this comes off so tone deaf, not only because of the fact that you as a journalist are saying this, NetEase isn't saying it. NetEase hasn't addressed any of the concerns when it comes to anti-Blackness in their game for over a year. Lack of support for T'Challa and Storm, lack of costumes for T'Challa, Storm, and Blade compared to Luna Snow or Psylocke or Invisible Woman or etc. The continued lack of support for Blade since he was released, to where you have other characters having his tools like Venom getting anti-heal or Devil Dinosaur having bleed effects, like different things like that. You have these different characters being more equipped to the game than the Black characters. Not only that, you have now the past 2 Black characters you have introduced being featured in prison, in prison in one form or another, before they have been able to play or been featured, because you had Blade for 3 seasons being in jail, and like being imprisoned by Dracula, and then now Moon Girl is in jail with Alchemex. And some people try to tell me, oh, well, Psylocke and Jeff and someone else and Cyclops in jail with her too, but those other characters were in jail before season 0. And I'm like, okay, cool. But like, it's the past 2 Black characters back to back. That's a concern. So there's a repetition. Not only that, there's been a lack of Black content creators who have been featured in their content creator live streams they've done. So there's a rising concern of anti-Blackness when it comes to this video game, and no one's speaking on it. No one is speaking on it, and I find it very annoying. And for you to say this, it came off very tone deaf, when in reality, all people wanted was to see Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur wreck the field. You could have had a healer tank hybrid, the same way that Reed Richards is a duelist tank hybrid, and have Lunella be able to shoot like healing projectiles from like a little ray gun while letting Devil Dinosaur chop people and things of that nature. Lunella can be a hologram for all I care. Like, do something to where she is featured on the field without her being in danger, as you say, or age her up. No one would have cared because there's actually been an aged up version of Lunella in the comic books. Not only that, in her TV show, she was 13 in the TV show. They aged her up, and she was in very violent situations in the TV show. So I'm sitting here watching this one dude say this, not the devs say it, and it just sounds like a bunch of straw man nonsense that makes no sense. There were so many idiots, even black folks, that were placating and trying to defend Marvel rivals, and y'all just look like y'all tap dancing for some Chinese people. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. Y'all look like you're tap dancing for no damn reason. And I'm gonna sip my drink for a minute. B, how you feeling?
It frustrates me because one of the arguments that he had is to where they're like, this isn't the way to create a fan base for a character, to build the fan base for the character. And the way that you build a fan base for the character is putting that character in front of the fan base. The best way to have been doing that is putting it in one of the most popular games that is out there right now. And it kills me because like you said, it could have been easy in making her a hologram or something like that to put her around the dinosaur. All I was thinking was like, put her on top of the dinosaur, and then she doesn't have an animation of getting shot. The dinosaur does, and she like wiggles around or something like that. Like, it's still an animated based game, so you can make the animations a little bit more over the top. Like, that's the whole point of it. And plus, if you're throwing in cartoon characters, I'm expecting over the top. Especially like if you're going to throw me Spider Pig in the future, he better be pulling out a cartoon hammer or something like that. Else it's not going to be Spider Pig.
Exactly. Being a hooligan.
Exactly. You have Deadpool being a hooligan, messing up my screen. Who says that this character can't? Not saying she has to do the same as Deadpool, but like, be more innovative with this. Like, you don't have to just stop thinking of like, oh, well, they just need black in the game. Do the same creations that you do with your other characters. You can put the exact same amount of work into your characters to give us that funness with these black characters. It doesn't have to just stop of just showing the black character. Enjoy these characters if you guys say you enjoy these characters.
Tasha, your thoughts?
No, I'm right on there. There are so many innovative ways that it could have been done. As a former Rivals player, I haven't played in a while. I've been not complaining, but since jump, because I was a Storm main and I couldn't stay a Storm main because she was just so not well handled, in my opinion. And I think she eventually got a buff, but just still didn't feel like enough. So as badly as I wanted to play Storm, I couldn't play Storm. Like,
one of my favorite things they did recently was they gave disco skins to a bunch of characters, but not the black characters. Black people were heavily involved in disco. Even Storm has a disco variant for Avengers in the comic books. And y'all didn't get the black characters disco skins? Make that make sense.
Well, like, we created disco, but whatever.
So it's just like there's such a trail of anti-blackness when it comes to these developers, and it's actually sickening the way they do this kind of stuff. And it's like, Sir Yuri G's in the chat, it's too like a lot of seasons for Aurora to get a buff. Sadly, yeah, it took a lot of seasons for Aurora to get a buff. It's like it's such a trail of consistent lack of support for black characters, and like so many individuals want to play whataboutism with me, where they were like, what about the fact that Rocket hasn't got a buff till recently, or what about this character and that character? And it's like, you can say all those things, but there's obvious trail of evidence for the black characters getting the shaft, and you're choosing to ignore it to feed your whataboutism, and it doesn't make a lick of sense. And Miller, for you to be a journalist and stand so 10 toes down on this belief, you look real unprofessional. You look real unprofessional. You look real anti-black. And you can say that you love Moon Girl and your favorite character is Ms. Marvel, but genuinely, this is a failure on Marvel. This is a failure on Marvel Games. This is a failure on NetEase, to where they have consistently given the shaft to black characters, and it's just like, why? And it's like people are saying in the chat, they don't really care about us, or this, that, and the third. And it's like, and like he said, she'll have some special treatment versus Penny is when all said is done. But it's like, all you're going to do is make her voice lines. Hell, they could have done what this person said. Have her be a pop-up on screen. Make her be somewhat visible to where she's a part of the combat. Don't just do like this was the adult version of Lunella. So it's like, there's something they could have done here, and they chose not to. And that's what really frustrates me, where so many individuals wanted to be able to play whataboutism. And it's like, you have so much potential here, and y'all are just playing like just saying no. And it was so funny too, because someone screenshot this. Miller said in the Marvel Rivals Discord a while back, where he said, anybody looking at the Devil Dinosaur plush with a collar and a big yellow heart on it and saying, so no Lunella, is a fake fan. Huh?
You know what it is? Somebody had brought up the fact that Devil Dinosaur had initially had his own comic before it was Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, which, yes, but they are a pairing now.
Yes.
And at this point, when you look at one, you are expecting the other.
Agreed.
So it's not far-fetched to believe that they should come together. But they're just like, well, see, the problem is y'all don't read comics. This is when people be like, y'all don't read comics, and not the times they actually should say it.
The
problem is y'all don't read comics, so y'all don't know he already existed. No, we know that he already existed, but we know we want Lunella.
And it's like before 2015, they had used Devil Dinosaur hardly in like 20, 30 years. So it's like, if the character hadn't been used in so goddamn long, and then as we talked about previously, when Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, the animated series, was nominated for a Peabody Award, literally, like what made those two like had so much potential was they were a scholastic success in the comic book market. So it's like, if this is a proven character, has so much proven success when it comes to scholastic, when it has success with Black girls in STEM, why would you involve her? And what felt really scummy too was there was the idea that, similar to Blade, she might come later, but they're basically just kind of like saying outright that she's never going to come to the game, even as like a support now. So that's even doubly offensive. And they're just like, no, we don't want to shoot a little Black girl. It's like, no, you don't. You're making excuses.
That's a lie.
I hate that excuse too, because we've seen media. We've looked at the media. It's one of the things I've seen is Black women are one of the most disrespected people in media. So, like, really, come on, you guys can have a better argument than that. I've had to watch way too many shows of Black people get in the underhand of most stories, and then now you're like, oh, but we don't want to shoot a Black child in a video game.
Last I checked, Tubi had somebody shoot a whole Black child, but that's.
And what felt really dumb when it comes to the whole, we don't want to see Punisher shoot a little Black child, they then made it to where Punisher has a whole team up where he rides Devil Dinosaur.
I missed that. Okay.
Excuse me. So I find it very funny. Excuse me. Allergies.
Bless you, good sir.
Thank you. I find it very funny that that's the excuse you're using, while also putting Punisher on top of the dinosaur instead of the little Black girl. Right. I don't know. That looks kind of scummy to me. I'm just saying. So I just wanted to touch on that. I felt it was very disrespectful. And what really pissed me off was there were some people in Miller's replies that were saying, I think aging her up would be disrespectful. Why? Why would that be disrespectful?
I was perfectly fine with them doing it for Penny.
But it doesn't have to be disrespectful. Because now we talk about the adultification of Black girls. But you don't have to do it like that.
Yeah. So it's just very odd the way they go about things, and I just don't really understand it. But we will see what happens with that in the future. Let's, but like we got 15 minutes. Let's do it. I wasn't gonna skip over it, but I feel like it's necessary to talk about. Folks, let's talk about comic book piracy. Y'all ready for a fun discussion about comic book piracy, y'all? Because as we saw this week, Read Comic Online, the biggest piracy platform for comic books, went down for a total of how many days? Like 3 or 4 days? And the entirety of Twitter and social media lost their collective minds.
Wait,
and it's come back now, apparently. But
crazy. They should have left it.
Right, they should have left that shit. But a lot of people we're in discussion about this, we're having different takes and whatnot. Twitter as a whole was pretty much having a funeral for Read Comic Online and saying that this was the saddest day in comic book history. And I originally was like, I was playing the Let It Die song from the Lorax. I was like, yo, let it go. Don't do it needs to stop being a thing. But then there was a lot of people that were trying to put me on blast and saying that I'm disrespectful to people outside of the US, that I don't care about the fact that Marvel and DC haven't updated their apps to have every old back issue. And I'm like, we can have those discussions. We can have campaigns for DC and Marvel to address those things. But why does it have to be about piracy until then? Why does it have to be like that? And I've lamented when it comes to people outside the US when it comes to this discussion, but I feel like we need to have a really big conversation about FOMO, and but also when it comes to people feeling entitled to access even though they don't have the money for things. Because there was a lot of people who were trying to say that piracy made them fans of comic books. And that is the dumbest shit I think I've ever heard in my entire life. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you, because I don't know about you, but I became a fan of comic books by going to the library. The library.
Barnes and Noble, the same difference.
Well, I said Barnes and Noble, a comic book shop, and like you can't say, like you can say, oh, I don't have a comic book shop near me. Cool. Do you have a library? Do you have a phone that could go onto Libby or something like that and get a digital library card? Like there is so many ways now to engage with the comic book medium that you have no excuse if you are in the US when it comes to reading comic books. I'm going to keep it a whole omnibus with you. If anybody tries to step to me and say they are in favor of piracy when it comes to being in the US, I have nothing to say to them. Like, genuinely, you are being so bass backwards. And what I said on Twitter in regards, and I said on Threads as well, is I watched on Read Comic Online 2 days after Batman Static Beyond came out. After all the campaigning I did to get that book support, after all the work that I did to get that book like up and running, I interviewed the writer and the artist of the book. I did everything in my power. I took a picture with the artist this weekend at Motor City Comic Con. Like I was I did everything I could for that book. 2 days after the first issue came out, it already had 8,000 clicks on Read Comic Online.
Jesus.
2 days, and I was like, y'all can shove it. Like I straight up said, y'all can shove it. Y'all have nothing to say to me when it comes to piracy anymore, because so many individuals will say that piracy is this great thing. It's for archival purposes. Some books aren't on these platforms anymore. That's fine. We can have those discussions. We can hold DC and Marvel accountable and like fix their UI or whatever. But this continued of grace given to piracy enjoyers has got to stop. Like I think Mike Choi said it best, where he said, "What happened to just doing that in secret? What happened to pirating in secret and not publicizing shit? Because you open
anime now."
Yeah, and it's like what? Like, because you openly like revealing that you don't value the industry is nonsensical. And people were saying, "Oh, this is preserving certain things," and like the companies don't care. Here's the thing: there's this really like racist comic book called Cage Max, written by Brian Azzarello during the Marvel Max era, where it makes Luke Cage look like a really racist caricature. That's not available on Marvel Unlimited. I'm okay with that. Let's be 100% honest with ourselves. I'm okay with that. Or like, if we want to hold them accountable for certain older titles, like I'll be 100% honest with you. Before DC Infinite put a lot of Milestone on DC Infinite, I used to pirate that. I will be open and honest with that. But I did I had my efforts to find the back issues, to purchase the compendiums, and then also I even reached out to DC support a few different times to say, hey, when are you bringing Milestone to the platform? Because I wanted to do my best efforts to do this the correct way. But so many individuals will stamp their feet and be like, oh, this one issue of Jay Garrick Flash isn't on DC Infinite, so I'm going to pirate it, man. But it's like the majority of y'all don't actually care about that. You're just using these talking points to support you. You just don't want to buy the content. Let's keep it a whole stack. Be your thoughts, please.
My biggest thing is when they talk about this is for
being able to store history and just stuff like that, this isn't on your device. And it's not like these people are going and like cataloging all of this stuff in their own archive on their own thumb drive as they're like reading through these comics online. All you're doing is reading these comics online and being like, all right, there's my 15 minutes. I got the story. I'm good to go. And then the artists, the creators, the writers, they don't get any support behind what they just wrote. So if you did enjoy it, now congratulations, you're not going to get more of it. And then this is just specifically for the US basis. I don't get how you can be so adamant on wanting to read something online and then not support it, because every single time I've picked up something that I'm like, I'm not quite sure of, I'll get it on the Global Comics app. I'll pay the like 99 cents for it or the $1.99. And then congratulations. If I didn't like it, I saved myself $4 and then I can keep going for the day. And then if I did like it, I can go to the comic shop and put it on a pull list. I can then start supporting it in even bigger and better ways, because that's how you have to treat your money. You have to treat your money as if it's a vote. So if you don't want to put your full vote in, there's ways that you don't have to put a full vote in and you can get a little snippet, a preview and stuff like that. Heck, I know with Toshi for her Kickstarter, I was able to go look at a preview before I decided to actually go and put in all my stuff for it. And so it's like, come on, guys, like there's ways to do this without actually screwing over the creators. And that's the thing that pisses me off the most, is creators getting screwed over who actually have good freaking ideas that can be out there that the big two don't look at, you know? And that's all you're doing when you're pirating this stuff. It just pisses me off at the end of the day. And I miss out on things. I hate missing out on things, but you got to miss out on a few things. Like, that's how you enjoy things later on in life.
And, go ahead, Tasha.
Yeah, I made a post the other day. I was like, the funny thing is, for all the people talking about accessibility and stuff, it's like, first off, we're technically having this conversation through an American lens conversation. So if you're not here, we're not talking to y'all per se, because a lot of people were in Charlie's comments talking about that. But I made a post. I was just like, it's not the people who lack accessibility for the most part who are harming industries. It's the people who have the privilege to choose, and they're still like, nah, instead, I'm not going to support these people properly. And it's like, yeah, we don't all have the money. Like they said earlier, hold on, this is a whole thing on my phone right here. It's a category called books. And in that category, I have every library app I have access to. Libby, Hoopla, there's the one called Palace. I got Playbooks. There's some more stuff that I don't have as an app, because I have to go to, like, most of my comic book reading happens on one of these apps. I, as someone who used to pirate anime and manga, did not know that you even could pirate comics for most of my life. So I would just wait and get shit when I had the chance, or go to the comic shop when there was finally one in my area, and look through the stuff and be like, okay, this is interesting, I want this. Or go to Barnes Noble and read stuff in Barnes Noble when we used to have one at the cafe, buy it if I could. I started, my husband already had a collection from his dad, thankfully. My dad had thrown all his comics away, so I had to start mine from scratch. He used to work at a pawn shop. We went through the pawn shop and started grabbing old comic books. We went to the comic shops, getting stuff out the dollar bin. And from there, my collection has grown so much. I learned about Read Comic Online, honestly, last year. And I think I've seen the link and clicked on it once or twice for stuff I already own, honestly. For screen grab, for something, I don't even remember what. But like, I've been to that site like twice. Everything else is just, let me go look in my library app. Let me go to the comic shop and see if I want it. Like, if I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna get it if I can.
Right. And it's like, and Pick Right put the chat, they're like, artists and writers work multiple jobs to support themselves while they make these comics. Artists deserve livable wages, and that happens when we financially support their work. And it made me bring up this thread of tweets from Ram V earlier this week, because Ram V put out this giant collection of tweets where he's like, look, I ain't gonna tell you if piracy is wrong or right, because I'm from India. I've been in y'all situation before. I get it. But it's like, think about the ramifications, and like there's issues when it comes to limited access and digital rights and things of that nature. But genuinely, it's a mess when it comes to digital stuff. And he says, I'll pick a fellow reader over a company any day, perhaps in solidarity with that little anarchist comic heart. Go ahead, read them where you can. Hopefully the stories stay with you. Hopefully when you can, you'll own a copy. I'm good with and I'm happy. This felt so bass backwards when it comes to how little y'all make when it comes to comic books, that Ram V pretty much just said, hey, yo, hop on the 7 Cs. Like, that felt so disrespectful to every comic reader who's come before Ram V and to himself, as well as to his peers. Like, I feel like this was very tone deaf. And then Jimmy Palmiotti kind of put it in the best way, especially as somebody who has been somebody who has made comic books himself, like self-published. He phrased this in a really big way. Let me pull this up because I thought it was so well done the way he phrased it. And I was like, okay. Because he said, I understand all the arguments around access, trust me, but the harsh reality for me, a guy that self-publishes, is simple. My books are how I make a living. I publish them digitally, and those sales are what allow me to pay my creative team and cover my bills. When a book is pirated, it isn't just a lost sale. It's a loss of the resources that keep the work itself sustainable. If someone has a choice of buying my book or getting it from a pirate site, well, I'm guessing they go here first. Piracy also creates a ripple effect people don't always see. It reduces the revenue that funds my future books, limits what I can pay artists, and ultimately makes it harder to keep producing these stories readers enjoy for me. And while pirated copies may reach more people in the short term, they undermine the ecosystem that allows authors and creators to keep going. If someone wants to read my comic book for free, I genuinely prefer they borrow it from a library. Libraries compensate authors through purchasing, licensing, and circulation systems, and they keep access equitable without harming the creators behind the work. Supporting libraries keeps them funded, thriving, and available to everyone, something piracy can never do. And I stand on this because genuinely it's him saying that anybody can go to a library, anybody can hop on Libby, all those different apps Tashi was saying. There is no reason that you need to be trying to pirate this nonsense just because you have that little bit of FOMO where you need to know what the newest issue of DCKO or Absolute Batman says. You're making yourself look so disrespectful because you don't value the medium you want to be involved in.
Right. True. Even earlier, we were just talking about Power Fantasy.
Yeah.
I read the entire series on Hoopla. I am a huge fan of Something Is Killing the Children. I read the entire series on Hoopla.
So it's like, what excuse do you have?
And that's the other thing too, is like all of the old stuff is on these library apps. That's where I was reading like Crisis on Infinite Earth. It wasn't, I know I have it on the DC app because I know they have it there, but I just read it on the library app because it was more convenient for me at the time, you know? Like it's just,
they have Spider-Man, they have
exactly. There are so many good stuff that's there that like you just have to download an app, go to your library. You don't even have to go half the time. You just have to create a profile now. And then bam, it's there. Congratulations, you have it. And then it's switching back and forth, just like you would normally do with the library. It's just like, let me borrow this book. There's this book back. Let me borrow this book. There's this, like, it's the best concept in the world. It easily is. It saves you so much money.
So much. Even for when I said I finally read the original Riri and Miles run, those weren't on apps. The apps weren't like huge yet, but I went to the library and checked them out for my graphic novel section. My daughter reads all her manga from the library or on the library app. Like
it's insane. It's insane to me. So it's just like, I feel as if people need to quit writing this idea. And like, yeah, that the website's back. We can't control that. But this is going to be a thing of whack-a-mole we deal with every few months or every few years, where piracy becomes a conversation again. And what really bothers me is when we bring up all this accessibility when it comes to comic books, people will still say we're gatekeeping. People will still say we're defending corporations or we're doing this, that, and the third. And I'm like, do y'all know how goofy you sound?
I'm defending the creators who work for the corporations who are poor like me.
Mm. That's what I'll say to that. So it's just like when people say dumb shit like that, it rubs me the wrong way because it makes y'all just look so dumb because you don't actually understand. You just want to defend your right to do illegal things. You're trying to be entitled to what you think you deserve. Like I deserve to know what happens in Absolute Green Arrow next week, even though I don't want to buy it. Like shut the fuck up. You sound so dumb. Like I'm sorry. So
Do you
like
actually
again.
deserve that?
Right. So it's like, and the thing about it is too, like the dumbest thing I heard one time was I pirated the book that way I knew if I wanted to buy it. What? What is what, that's like saying I want to pirate a video game that way I know if I want to play it. I want to pirate a movie that way I know if I want to go to the theater and see it. Like
I will
what?
say I semi get that in the case of reading, only because, like I said, I read Something's Killing the Children on Hoopla, and I
Mhm.
still started to slowly buy the series when I
Right.
get issues as I can. But again,
Mhm.
you don't have to pirate it.
Right. Okay. So
You
yeah,
can still
it's
get
just
it for free.
yeah, it's very odd. B Rex, my man, what is on your pull list this week coming up?
Let me get that pulled up real quickly. There was like two things that I saw that I was like, yes, that's actually really interesting. I know we have the Batwoman that's coming up, but it was Nectar 3. Nectar 3 that's coming out that I'm
Yes.
excited for. I've been really digging that whole like creepy butterfly stuff. And yes, my sister's always been like a butterfly person. And so I'm like going to be like, here's your horror butterfly now. I really hope you can like love this too.
Hell yeah. I must say for me, I have Odin #1, which is James Tynion and Marguerite Bennett together. We have New Titans #35, which is coming out. Then I had one other book. I think I had Nectar 3 as well, yeah. And then what else is coming out? We have Alias Red Band #3 that's coming out for some people if you want to get that. And then there's just a bunch of awesome stuff like IDW has Smile for the Camera coming out. There's Murder Podcast #7. There's plenty of awesome books that you can check out at your local comic book shop. Make sure that you're trying to pre-order these books when you can, because that is the best way to support the industry. That's just like I can't stress that enough. Is that when you walk into a comic book shop, you picking up a book off the shelf has already been considered a sale. You pre-ordering a book is the best way you can support your local comic book shop. Kyle Higgins put out a great video about this this past week. I'm gonna be talking with Snyder about that tomorrow. Like that way y'all are able to see and hear about the fact like why DC isn't trying to talk about that more. So we're definitely gonna be having more conversations about this, especially as we're getting ready for phase 2 of DC So White. So definitely be tuned in for that. Tashi, what are you pulling next week?
Well, as you guys always know, my pull lists are sporadic because some weeks I can go to the shop and some weeks I can't because my pay is also sporadic. Unlike this man, I do not work 1,200 jobs. I
I'm
work
looking at picking up another. Anybody need a lawn mowing gig?
I work 2 very sporadic jobs for myself that are so pay comes when pay comes. It's not consistent. So
Gotcha.
I will have to skip this week. I cannot go to the comic shop, especially since we have MomoCon this weekend. So I'm definitely gonna have to save that money for gas.
There you
And
go. There you go.
in there as well as parking because this is Atlanta and parking is stupid.
Bruh, talk about tried parking in Detroit. That shit was ridiculous, man. Motor
Well, I
City
just
was
say,
going
well,
to
see, we have the parking. See, the parking lots are not bad. It's the prices of the parking lots that are
Ooh.
absolute trash in the city. Like they're not.
See, that's insane. For us, it was $10, but you had to park like damn near 2 football fields away from the fucking like venue, and I was like, this is ridiculous.
Park a block away and pay $25
This
an
is
hour.
ridiculous.
Like the hospitals here, you used to have to pay in the parking lot.
That's crazy.
They have since, at least at the Children's Hospital, because that's where I'm usually at. They have since taken that off, but you used to have to pay to park in the hospital parking lot.
There is no reason you should have to pay for parking at any hospital. That is ridiculous.
Nope.
It's insane.
We used to do that. But I will be trying to see what is on my my list on Hoopla this week
Hell yeah.
because I No, I just finished reading Vindication. I will probably go ahead and finish catching up on Ice Cream Man because I only finished volume 1 still. So let me go
I
ahead and
love
start
that.
volume 2.
All right. B Rex, what do you want to leave people for episode 45 of Comics Unmasked?
Ooh, the world is crazy. We have a lot of people that are trying to justify plagiarizing instead of supporting local, instead of supporting the writers or supporting the artists. So just remember, if you got anybody that's trying to tell you that we're trying to back big corporation or anything like that, we're here trying to support the little guys. We're here trying to support the people who actually give us the fun in comic books. And it just sucks that we have to go through corporations because that's the society we live in. So
All right.
there we go.
Tashi, what do you want to leave the people with for episode 45?
May is Mental Health Awareness Month, which is very important and very special to me. Not just because it's my birthday month, but because mental health has been very important to me for most of my life as I have learned and struggled with dealing with it. So, if you also struggle dealing with your mental health, please be kind to yourself this month and beyond. It's not easy. I know you are your own biggest critic, but do try to take a break, watch a movie, read a comic book, read a different kind of book if you prefer. Just do something for yourself this week, because it even if it doesn't make you feel completely better, it can help.
All right. For me, there's been a lot of discussion recently when it comes to people who have issue when it comes to DC So White and trying to say like it's the same talking points over and over and over again. It's the people who try to say, why are you trying to beg corporations to give you this or that, or why won't you just support Black indie creators and things like that? Here's the thing. I wouldn't have gave up 2 hours of my Saturday, no, my Friday, to sit down with Mark and Shay of Scion of Crimson Sleeper Studios if I didn't care about Black indie comics. I wouldn't have purchased. I have 2 Gemini packages I just got from both Ace Blade and from I can't think of the name, it's bugging me. The guy who wrote Crescent City Monsters, Dream Fury comics. I find it abhorrent that so many individuals don't like the idea of a little kid being like inspired by Black Panther standing next to Captain America. I find it abhorrent that someone doesn't like the idea of Vixen being the first Black woman to have an ongoing in DC. I find it really weird that someone wouldn't be excited about Static finally getting his first ongoing series in 10 years. About to be 15 here. Actually, it is 15. It'll be 15 years since he had an ongoing at DC. And that last one was only 8 issues. It really bugs me that people are fighting so hard against us when we are trying to get them. Like Mr. Terrific was able to be on screen with Superman and be a breakout star. And we're asking DC, why doesn't he have a book? And people are asking us, why are you fighting so hard for that? And it bugs the living God out of me that you have a problem with us doing that. So educate yourselves. Stop falling for the same talking points when all we've done is put evidence in front of you that you've been played this entire time, and stop fighting against us. And to anybody who has tried to be a part of our initiatives, but then the minute they got a little bit of pushback, they ran for the hills. Why did you even sign up? That's what that's what I'm gonna leave that with. You look real goofy, you look real sad, and why did you even sign up in the first place? But we gonna keep fighting for our people. We gonna keep loving comic books, and we will be back next week for episode 46 and 47. Actually, it'll be 47 and 48. And get ready for episode 50. Can I get one more interview out before the Exquisite Corpses episode? I'm gonna try because I would like episode 50 to be the Exquisite Corpses episode. We'll see, but we will catch y'all next week regardless. Peace out. Industry.